One more time with feeling. All right, there we go.
You mentioned a rather violent fire.
I have wires welded to the frame.
Yeah.
Okay. So they shorted out to the frame, and we had one of the larger battery fires that BattleBots has ever seen.
We're here with the Ray Billings of Tombstone in Season 6 of BattleBots. Ray, how are you?
I'm doing okay, doing good.
You have an awesome looking Tombstone this year. What's new?
We actually made quite a few changes to the structure and the design of the robot. Before, we had really thin, paper-thin titanium armor on the top. It was more dust coverage, really, than anything else. Now the titanium's 150 thousandths thick. It's quite a bit thicker. It's inset into the frame, and the armor itself is also providing that cross structure. We did gain a little weight with everything that we did, but it's significantly stronger. Rick's done a fantastic job with the frame.
Sure. Does Tombstone normally hit the 250 limit?
We're always going to push exactly right at 250 pounds.
Cool.
To show you how close we are in weight, you look at the side right here. You see this bracket that the motor is mounted to.
I see it.
They're both supposed to be steel.
Oh, I see.
But this back one is aluminum because we needed that extra 4 or 5 ounces to get under 250 pounds.
Those are different pieces of metal.
Correct.
To make weight.
Just to make weight.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, so like you buy these, the bolt comes out a little further on these shock mounts. So we had to go by and cut a couple of inches, an inch of thread off on each of those bolts. Yeah. You're always managing every ounce you've got. So it's combat ready, and it's exactly 250 pounds.
And you wouldn't necessarily think that it would always be so granular, like when it comes to BattleBots. But I mean, when you're trying to make a weight limit and also pack as much of a punch as you can,
right?
It makes perfect sense.
If they gave me 500 pounds, we would be exactly 500 pounds.
A 500-pound Tombstone would not be something that I would want to mess with. I'm sure everyone in here and their so-called Tombstone plan would completely out the window.
Oh, if they had a 500-pound limit, they'd have a 400-pound block of steel in front to protect themselves. They'd still figure it out.
Oh my goodness. So Ray, how has Season 6 been going so far?
The robot has held together incredibly well. So the structure changes we've made have been fantastic.
Right.
We made an increase in power by switching to a higher output battery.
Right.
And anytime you put more power into a system, other things break. And so we've had some other issues. So here's one of the keyways right here I was telling you about. So typically that keyway holds the sprocket to the shaft.
Right.
And so you can provide torque through the motor, through the sprocket. Well, there's so much torque, it just cuts the keyway in half.
Oh my goodness.
So we ended up with a rather violent solution. We just welded the sprocket to the shaft of the motor. So at least that won't happen. We'll see what else breaks. Anytime you start putting more power in, you find new things that break.
You mentioned a rather violent fire. What can you tell me about that?
All right, so there's one of the weapon bars down there. The tooth is missing. In one of the first hits, the tooth broke off of the weapon bar.
Gosh.
And you can see it shake, but that doesn't really explain how violent it is inside the robot.
Yeah, of course.
And I think what happened was the wires were shaking back and forth so hard it just pulled the insulation off of them. Ooh. And we had a direct short. I have wires welded to the frame.
Yeah.
Okay. So they shorted out to the frame, and we had one of the larger battery fires that BattleBots has ever seen.
Was all of Tombstone just kind of in flames at that point?
Pretty much. Okay.
Ooh.
So the actual motor that was in it and the drive motors, they still worked, but the wiring to them was all burned up. So mechanically they were usable. I'm gonna have to do some work to fix them. We lost all the electronics, all the batteries, all of, the frame looked beautiful, but all the parts that make the frame move around, they were gone. So it was a very expensive first match.
Oh my goodness. Well, everyone is back this season in an amazing Season 6 that is finally has an in-studio audience.
Right.
What does that mean to you?
The audience participation is a big part of my fun to all of this. So the fans of this sport are the absolute best of any sport, hands down. They're the most engaged, rabid fans you're going to find. I love them. And you feed off that energy when you're out there and you're doing your thing. And when you don't have them there, it's a bummer. There isn't another way to put it. It's just not as much fun.
Right.
So this year was much better in that regard. Yeah. We have fans walking through, and I get to talk to them and whatnot. I really like it.
You mentioned that a tour will come through this area of the pit and just kind of like a look, don't touch situation, and you kind of interrupt?
So anytime the tours have come through, I've gone up to talk to the fans and had a real good time, hand out trading cards or stickers or whatever, and get yelled at by the tour guide because he's trying to keep the traffic going along. And the fans are great. This is their moment to talk to, the people that build the robots that they love to see. And it's important to them, but it's important to me too. So.
Right. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that makes an experience like this for some people, especially
Absolutely.
Like live sporting events, especially BattleBots. Like this is something that people will. This is what they've always wanted to come to, and so to have an experience like that has to mean the world. So that's just amazing.
It's awesome. I mean, there was, one kid saved up his birthday money. Where do you want to do? He wanted to come to BattleBots. So I had a great time talking to him because he really loved being here. It was, his little dream to be here to see the fights and meet the people, and so that stuff is cool. I really like that. That's incredible.
So, new season, new robots this year. As the legend, who have you been most excited to see in the BattleBox this season?
This is always like a dysfunctional family reunion.
Of course.
So we get together and we try to break each other's toys. So it's very much a family feel. And so there's a lot of people here that I only see them once a year, but they mean the world to me.
Of course.
So that part's always cool. So I didn't talk much with Mark Icewave last year. We've had some time to socialize and whatnot this time. That's great. Brian, Captain Shredder, big friends that I hang out with a lot when I'm at events, and I almost don't see them any other time. And so, to me, it's those social connections are at least as important as any of the robot stuff.
Right. And I mean, this is not Long Beach. This is Las Vegas. How do you feel about the new venue, the new area, the new arena, the new pits?
The pits are nice. If anywhere can put up a tent in 110-degree weather and make it comfortable, it's Vegas. I mean, we're not sweaty or anything. This is good. Where the arena's set up it's a nice building for it. Yep. They actually had kind of a hole in the floor, the right size for the arena to set in.
Perfect.
So we don't have to walk up as high to get into the arena. It's actually
cool.
It's actually a really nice layout in that regard. Obviously, Vegas itself has plenty of distractions. There's plenty of ways to occupy your time. I'm hoping that we have a nice long run here and that we're here for years. That would be great.
This year, we've seen a different BattleBox. There is now a shelf, so-called, in the BattleBox. How has that been? What can you tell me about the shelf?
It was an advantage to robots other than mine. Okay, so and what that's going to mean for how we redesign or what we do down the road, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a different playing field than what we've had before.
Honestly, it's completely understandable that it would be a real disadvantage for a horizontal spinner. And with that kind of obstacle for your robot style, it's just kind of what you have to do to kind of...
Exactly. Yeah. And to be fair, that's how it always is. You always have to work around the arena hazards. So you got to make sure you plan what you're doing around the obstacles you have. So we just have a new one that I have to work around.
Right. So we're in Las Vegas. So
okay.
We thought it would be pretty interesting to create a club.
Okay.
A club that only exclusive BattleBots HEXBUG toy owners could enter.
Let me see that.
Only BattleBots teams that have a toy have those chips now. So welcome to the club.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
So this year we brought back Tombstone in our Arena Max with the blue blade.
Right.
We thought it would be awesome for you to get a chance to meet the creator of the blue-bladed Tombstone.
Okay, all right, this is cool.
This is Peter. He's going to come in and chat with you for just a minute.
How you doing?
Great. So they sat down and they were like, hey, we want to make Tombstone. We got to throw him in this new box, make him cool. And so we had a chance to make a couple changes. And King of Kinetic Energy, he needs a little bit more power. So I put some more power into him.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think that all of the toys have been great, but obviously the new one's really nice because we still, the blue blade is, so we're probably going to use it you know, later this tournament. I mean, so it's one of my favorites. It is. It's very cool.
I just thought it needed some new artwork and a little bit more power in there.
And it's awesome. It's really awesome. In fact, I've had a lot of fun with the little build your own one too. I was clowning Captain Shredder about how he says I want a toy too, so I actually 3D printed him a shell and put on it. So I have one that's got a little shell, and I've actually had a lot of fun with the little build your own one. I've had a good time with it. The screws working, that was a big increase for it, and just all the way around, it's a much cooler toy. It's awesome.
Thank you, Peter. So how was that? Was it cool to get to meet the bots creator?
No, it is. It's awesome. It really is. All of this is cool.
We thank you for building such an awesome robot, and we're so happy that we could make that real as a toy.
It's really cool. The first time that I saw Tombstone as a toy in the store was an emotional moment.
Yeah.
It really was.
You've mentioned that before, and like every time I hear it, it just kind of makes me think like how much that means, like to us, like to the builders, like to everyone at HEXBUG. We're just like
it was a big deal when I walked in because I knew it was coming. It's not like it should have been a surprise. The minute I walked in and saw it sitting on the shelf it was a big deal to me.
It's one thing to have your dreams come true, but it's another thing to make someone else's dream come true. And it's almost right up there with the same.
I know.
Everyone, this has been Ray Billings with Tombstone for Season 6 of BattleBots. We'll see you next time.